and we'll jump right in. All right. So, hello everyone. My name is Joy, and I am working with you as colleagues today. I want to be clear. Today is not about any single expert in this work. I am sharing, however, some of the work that I have done in my classes this year and last spring using whiteboards. We will spend some time going over the basics of whiteboard options, including the very options that are available in Zoom. When we are online, I would ask you to look at two browsers. So, and I'll let you know when we want to do two browsers. But for now, I will just simply say hello and thank you so much for joining me today. I'm like, So, by way of reaction, I'm going to stop sharing. By way of reaction, if everyone could take a moment and use the reaction button down at the bottom and let me see how you're doing. What's your reaction for this moment right now? I see hearts, I see thumbs up, I see smiles. So, okay, I feel ready like it's time for us to get started. And so here we go. All right. So, again, I'm going to spotlight my video and jump right in. So we listened to this fantastic song, and it's like, what's this song? Why is she starting with this song? Well, because it's about collaboration. And so if you were not able to do so already, here is a URL. I'd like you all to jump in, and I want you to see the kinds of information that your colleagues during the earlier session shared. And so here we go. I put the link in this document. And so if we're talking about whiteboards, I want you to see the first whiteboard is actually just a simple blank sheet of paper. Okay. Sometimes less is more, simple is easy, right? And I want you to sort of see that it is completely possible. It is completely possible for us to take a simple piece of blank digital paper and create our own whiteboard. And I don't want anyone to feel like they can't do that. And so, what I've done, this is session 3, and today's date is December 7th. Everyone should have access to this document right now. Editing access. How do I know? Because I can see your initials here. There's a mark, right? Then I can see on the side exactly where people are. So when you hover, you can see Martha, Tori, Mark, and Helena. I can see you in the document in real time. If we go down to the bottom, we could all add additional information. I'm just going to put a chart there for the sake of showing you that as a tool and a way for us to see each other, put your school assignment, put your grade, and say something, some kind of hello. In doing that, if you scroll all the way down, everyone can contribute to the same document. And this is the most basic document that we could make. I don't see it in your doc. Okay, you don't have access. So you say to yourself, Joy, are you sure? Let me show you. Here's the thing, when you're in a digital environment, it's really easy to like fall apart. If you are logged in, if you are logged in on a device and haven't, let's say, logged in through PPS or something else, you can change this very quickly. So I'm changing this now. Anyone right now through PPS can be an editor, but I'm gonna make this real simple. Anyone can now edit this document. Refresh your page, now try. And I want you to actually see this. I want you to actually see this. So now I can see Tori got in. I can see Martha got in. And so visually, visually, as the teacher, I don't want you to think that you're going to get everything right and everyone's going to see it. And I need you to, when kids are like, I don't see it, I can't do it. Okay, the process is a simple one, and I'm going to walk through it as you all populate this document. If students ever have access issues. It's usually because they are not logged in through Chrome, not logged in through PPS Link, maybe on a phone or an iPad, or maybe they are actually logged in as something else. Many of us have multiple Gmails, multiple IDs. And so the fastest way to address that as a troubleshooting option is to go to your share feature. Make sure that at the bottom where it says get link, you just make it open to anyone. That's the fastest way to fix that. Okay. Then after your activity, close it. Okay. And so, yeah, I wanted you all to see that because that is a typical challenge. When you're in digital learning and things are happening very quickly, sometimes less is more, and this is just the fastest thing for you to know. But I'm going to show you a second feature today. I said the simplest whiteboard is a piece of white paper, correct? So here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you, no, not a new document, excuse me. I'm going to actually show you one of my favorite tools. This works especially well for elementary students and or students who um, don't like to draft, or here we go, forget liking. This is just the way that they're learning right now, okay? And this tool is called voice typing. So under tools, I'm going to voice type right now. And I'm just going to read many of the things that you all just said. So for example, tool, voice typing, watch what happens. It's going to ask me to turn on my mic. It's going to ask me to turn on my mic. And where my cursor is placed, it's going to start recording. This is also a really good way to do some captioning. And I want to talk about that now. So I'm going to click here, click to speak. You see that my mic is now red. Return to the mic if you ever need anything. So I can simply speak to students, and while it may not be a perfect transcript, punctuation won't be there, you can open it up and allow any student to actually add the voice typing. So we're not actually, or encourage any student to voice type. In this way, they can be composing and writing and adding and collaborating with each other freely. What a fantastic idea. And so here you go. Wait, before I take questions, because I'm like, I'm sure some of you are like, what? How did that happen? I want to show you one other feature before I stop and we have this short conversation about what comes next. Now that I have finished blabbing for the moment, I can actually check to see not only what I have contributed to this document, but I can actually see a full record of others who have contributed as well. So last feature, go to File, for example. Oh, let me stop recording now. I've stopped recording, close the mic. I go to File, my version history, and see my version history. Look at the beautiful set of information that I get to see in this version history. I actually get to see in a color-coded way who's contributed, who's anonymous, and this gives me insight into students perhaps who are on phones, iPads, not logged in. All of that can be captured very, very quickly this way. I can name this version. I'm going to not name it December 7th. I'm going to name this version session 3. And boom. Now I have fantastic bits of information. I want to open this up. Let's have a short conversation. I'm going to pause recording so that you can come on camera if you would like. All right. The next thing that I want you to actually see is that whenever I am in presentation mode on computers, I will typically do two things. I will typically put captions on. And while again, it's not a perfect transcript all the time, this allows for students who are ESL, English language learners or speakers of other languages, students who may have speech or communication disabilities, and or students who may be in an environment that's not quiet, to actually hear and see what I am saying at the same time. And so, as a practice, I will typically use the captions in Google Slides as a mechanism to not only present content this way, but also create a gateway for students, regardless of what their setting is, to actually see what I'm actually saying visually on the screen. So today's session, oh wait, I clicked the wrong one. This is not the advanced one. Excuse me, pause, put a pin in that, click the wrong one. All right, here we go. So, okay, I'm back. All right. And so, nope, let's go forward. Here we go. So, in the end, I want us to sort of understand a single purpose and this one thing. I am going to present four different tools. I mean, I started with what's available as a Google Doc as its own whiteboard, but please understand, no one is expecting anyone to use everything all the time. If you leave this session feeling secure and able to use one, maybe two of these tools, I will call that an accomplishment. And so that is my goal as your colleague, to make sure that everyone feels comfortable and ready to use at least one of these. With that in mind, I'm going to ask you to open up a secondary browser. Many of you are on Chrome, accessing this content through Chrome right now. So I'm going to ask you to open up either Safari or Firefox as a secondary site, so that you can try some of these things while we actually do it. You can certainly feel free to do it in Chrome as well, and that's fine. And when you do log into these other browsers, I'll just say, if you log on to your Google accounts on those other browsers, including the school Google account, it'll make it easier for you just to join the conversation seamlessly. So we talked a little bit about whiteboard options as Google Docs, right? Voice typing being a blank slate, a blank page, for example, using the microphone to do some of that work. Zoom itself has whiteboard options. And so I'm going to show you a whiteboard option. If you have logged into an additional browser, under the Stop Share feature, there will be a whiteboard. This whiteboard, it typically appears as a desktop. Now, this will be something that you can now have students add to by drawing or by text of a whiteboard. The challenge that and I'm going to be really honest with you, the challenge that I typically find with this is the annotation feature, and whether or not students are mature enough to annotate without disruption of learning, and and um, beyond maturity, the ability to see it from different devices. One of the things that I have learned as a result of teaching this way is that the first couple of weeks back in the spring, they loved it. They were able to say, oh, okay, this is the thing. And I would have wonderful collaboration with the whiteboard tool. Very soon thereafter, it became a distracting force and I had to disable it. Hmm. So, what I found is that generally the whiteboard option in Zoom is very good for small group. So if you do a breakout room and you appoint a leader, which you can do when you set up your Zoom meeting, appoint a leader for the breakout room. That breakout room leader will then be the person that shares their screen, sets up the whiteboard, and then beautifully has that information. For me, as a high school teacher, I typically will do this, and the beauty is my settings, when I set up my meetings, I set it up to automatically save whiteboards. Not a big deal. As evidence, if you've asked students, for example, to create a whiteboard to share their solution of a problem, or if you've asked them, let's say, oops, to draw cells, and then, you know, what, to show this with different nuclei and create a key and whatever else you're having them do. Okay. All right. You can have them save it. Watch here under the save feature. It's going to save it as a PNG file, and that then becomes something that they can upload into Canvas or wherever, email it, whatever your preference is. Are there any questions about how to use the whiteboard feature through Zoom?
Can you explain how you have the kids save the whiteboard, please? I didn't catch that.
Okay, so I'm actually going to send you into a breakout room for 3 minutes. I'm going to send you into a breakout room for 3 minutes. When you get into the breakout room among yourselves, choose a leader. Start, once the leader has been set, what I'd like you to do is create a whiteboard, like share your screen, the leader in that room, share your screen, and then have people set up and add to that. Okay. Once you do that, you'll see save as, it'll be a feature, and then we'll come together. You're only going to have 3 minutes, so this is not a long exercise, but I'm going to create this so that everyone actually practices doing this. With 3 people in a room, do it quickly. Everybody practice being a leader and creating a whiteboard, okay? All right, here we go. Hey, Mark.
I said, I have a big bag of peppers here with your name on it.
Oh, are you coming to school tomorrow?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll come tomorrow.
All right, I got to remember.
All right then. All right, did the room not open for you and Marquise?
I see Marquise.
I see him, but we're not in a room. Okay, that was fantastic. So now I want to take a few moments to actually show you how to set up your Zoom meeting so that others can annotate. Okay, when I popped in and out of the meetings, what I saw, or the breakout rooms, I saw that most people like, oh, I can do it. And did you see the save feature, how it saves it? Thumbs up. Okay, so the issue is making it so that others can annotate. And so I'll show you in the on the other screen. So here I am. This is my personal account, for example. Once I sign in, for example, and I always just use sign in with Google just because who has time for anything else? You know, wherever your feelings are about it, it is what it is. Oh, I chose the wrong one, but all right, whatever. Okay, so in your settings, okay, you come here. This allows you to actually begin to see all of the features of your Zoom meeting. But when you come down, sorry for scrolling on the screen. Here we go. Here are some of the features that you kind of need to know how to regulate. The chat, whether you want it to be open or private. The annotation on the whiteboard, here we go. Who can share? Which we can, in our settings, in our meetings, we can do that. Desktop, but here's the annotation feature. You have to make sure that your annotation is available. You have to make sure there. Then you can also choose only the user who is sharing can annotate. I always allow for saving of whiteboard content. And then, it just depends on autosave. But in your meeting settings, so you have your meeting, then you have your settings. You're going to scroll down, and here is where you have to make sure, sorry for scrolling on the screen. And these are the most important ones. So I'm going to ask, if you wanted this information, please take a screenshot. So in this way, you get to actually see, what all of the, yes, with Chromebooks. So the question, would Chromebooks allow students to annotate? What I have discovered on the Chromebook, you can annotate, but it's a very clumsy process. And I bought a Chromebook just so I could see. What students can't do is, you can't have students like sharing their screen easily. And so while they can annotate, there are other features that are just not, not easy. So the Chromebooks are, students are better able to do more with an iPad or a phone, believe it or not. And so on that phone, it's so small that, again, it disables a lot of that collaboration. It just ends up being chat. They don't have a problem using chat. And so if the students don't have a problem using the chat, that's my recommendation. Annotation on a Chromebook is not nice. Yeah, not nice at all. Okay, so let's jump back in here. Are there any questions before I get to the next tool? Okay, so the next tool is actually Jamboard. Jamboard is a completely different tool. It's also a whiteboard tool, except it's in your Google Apps. What do I mean when I say it's in your Google Apps? How do you know visually what your Google Apps are? Unmute yourself, Tori.
It's an add-on, right, Joy?
Mhm,
To the Chrome extension,
mhm.
is that right? No?
No, but I'm glad you said that, because a lot of people think it's something extra that you have to do, but
Okay.
it's not. So let me show you what I mean by Google Apps. This is that thing, that language that is now part of universal technology design that people need to sort of understand. So I'm going to share my screen with you for a second. I'm back to my personal, right? So I know I'm logged in because I have my little hey girl, right? Next to that is a matrix of squares. This is your Google Apps resources. Okay, so if I click in there, there's Jamboard. There's Jamboard. So everyone, please log in and get your Google Jamboard up and running. Get your Google Jamboard up and running. All right, so we're going to call this, I just put this down as an example. And while you're pulling up your Google Jamboard, I want you all to know that, yeah, I hear you, I feel you. And technology, especially right now, in my view, is better if we can build skills and build challenge without getting people to the point and place of anxiety or boredom. These are the two tragedies, right? This corner right here, anxiety, worry, apathy, and boredom. We want people to be in the place of flow. And so I'm going to ask that we do a Jamboard, what do you know? This is a do now challenge, and that's what I'm calling it. And so for my do now, for example, in Jamboard, I might ask people, and before I ask you to do it, I want you to look at this. So let's just pretend I'm looking at contact tracing. And I've got this lovely graphic here of ways that people pass on infection. So I've got a model, and then I've asked students to put their thoughts and ideas. Let's unpack what you're seeing on the screen. Unmute yourselves. Unmute yourselves. Before we do anything with it, what or how am I planning to use this? What are some of the takeaways when you look at it?
Student responses.
Yep. Anything else?
You can probably organize the students' thoughts based on either the colors of the boxes that you put down.
I could have set a rule of saying, if you disagree, pick pink. If you're on the fence, pick blue or yellow. If you love the idea, put green. And if you're blue, you're opposing something completely different. Right, so I could organize by these colors. Any other features that you're seeing on this Jamboard that might be useful? Look at the top here.
Conceptualizing ideas.
Yes, I have 11 different possibilities. Let's say I had 11 students. Each person could have a version that they're annotating or treating differently, okay? So it's pretty much the same thing, and you could invite others to share their own things, pick out things that you don't like or questions that you have. So as a do now, this is like, oh, snap, there's so many different things. Here's the last thing. What you see here is I added another frame. You can add a frame just by clicking through. Watch how easy. There's 11. Boom, I just added another frame, right? And I can actually invite you all. I can invite you all to participate in the same way that I did with that opening Google Doc. Okay, y'all ready? Anyone on can change, wait a minute, can view. I have to make it so that you can do what?
Edit.
Edit. So now I'm going to copy this, make it so that you all can edit. I'm going to put it in the chat and we're going to do this real time before I put you all in breakout rooms. Again, all right, go ahead, access the link. I'll stop sharing and reshare in just a second. How do I know you all are in? Boom, right there. Okay, so now let's go back. I'm going to say to everyone, please go to slide or frame 4. Go to slide 4. Everyone go to slide 4. And now let me show you where you get the Post-it notes. Here's where you get the Post-it notes. The Post-it notes are over here. This navigation bar on the left is your toolbar. This navigation bar on the left is your toolbar. You can add a sticky note. You can add a picture. You can add a shape. You can add a text. Okay, so that's how you see happening here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have you all build out your own on slide 7. All right, go ahead. Scroll to frame 7 and start adding to it. I don't care what you add. I just want to see that everyone can add to it. Perfect.
You do that so quick.
Perfect.
Joy,
Yes.
I have used Jamboard with my students. For example, in the spring, I uploaded an image of the floor plan of JP, and I had the kids actually draw. If we're supposed to stay 6 feet apart, how would you have us move through the building in order to, stay safe? Would we use outside, methods of getting from place to place? And so this is really nice because they can draw right on it. So
Yes.
if you want an image, they can do that. So I didn't necessarily have them doing Jamboard together because I found at elementary school they don't have the ability to not mess with everyone else's stuff. But even as just an assignment format, I've really found this quite powerful.
100% agreed. Again, I think what's most important for everyone to understand in this moment, there's a huge difference. And my friend Martha reminds me of this, and I'm like, yes. What you need and use in elementary school is so different than what we use and need in high school. The tool is designed by people who have never been to school, or like, they were in school with rows and columns. So they have no idea how we rocking. All right. And so while I think that this tool, so thank you, Laura, I think this tool, Jamboard in particular, is really good for elementary, middle, and high school. How we use it and what we choose to accomplish will be different. It will be very different. And so I'm going to give you now 5 minutes because I want you all in your breakout rooms to practice. I'm going to give you 5 minutes to, number one, create a Jamboard and share it with the people in your breakout room. The value in doing that is making sure that everyone knows how to, number one, create one and share so that each of you can write on each other's. Don't get fancy. Create a Jamboard like right now. Everybody do that. And then be prepared to share it, and I'll be popping in and out of the rooms. So I'm going to give us 5 minutes for work, so 7 minutes total. Are there any questions? Okay. Okay, the rooms are opening now. Okay, so just by reaction, was everyone able to at least start a Jamboard? Start a Jamboard? Okay, excellent. All right, so let's move on to our next option, which is Padlet. Our next option is Padlet. By just a quick inventory physically, let me know, have you ever used Padlet? No? Okay. All right. So Padlet is a wonderful resource. Next step, right? So we looked at just a document and then we moved to Jamboard. Now, Padlet is equally useful, a little bit fancier though. And so I want all of you to go to padlet.com in the secondary browser that you have open, padlet.com.
Joy, is this something that the district pays for, Padlet?
Padlet, yes.
Because the
So
last time I used it, I think the kids could only, make 2 because it was the free thing, but now
yeah, it's
Okay.
now, and we can embed it in Canvas now, and that's what I'm going to show you how to do. Okay. So in the link, here we go. This is an access point to a Padlet that we're using with our racial literacy. So, here we go for these sessions. Why redo something?
Do we need to sign into the Padlet with our school account then?
Well, you can, but for now, no.
Oh,
No.
okay.
Yeah. For now. All right. So the idea here is that a Padlet will allow people to contribute all kinds of thoughts on any number of topics. They can appear as anonymous, however, depending on how they join the conversation. And when that happens, well, if you're trying to use it for some exit ticket or whatever, you won't know who's contributing. And so it's like, oh, ugh. So here, there are a couple of quick features that I want you all to see. This share feature at the very top allows you to sort of give permission to other people, co-teachers, instructional aides, for example, to help organize and prepare something. But I can say visitors, anyone can write on it. Or you see this one, and this is the one I want y'all to see. Embed your blog on your website. So let's pretend, and we're going to walk through Padlet in a second, but I'm going to show you. Embedding your blog creates this code that you would then copy. And you always know code by those, triangular greater than, less than frames, right? So you can copy the code, and I'm going to show you how to embed on Canvas. In our Canvas pages, where am I? Oh, that's my personal. Let me close her. All right, so I'm going to open up Canvas, old school way, and I'm going to show you how. Hold on. Was it good, kiddo? Of course. All right. Oh, okay, that's good. So you're about to take your lunch. So my one and only came home from college, and wait, ooh, TMI, didn't want y'all to see all that. Let me focus. I'm clearly not focused. Hold on one second. Yeah, bye, kiddo. Hold on one second. I thought I had it open. All right. So I'm ready to add an assignment to my class, right? I want to add something and come here, go add assignment or page or whatever, right? I've got something and I'm ready to do it. Exit, ticket, triple read. I want to name it something that makes sense. But here in Canvas, whenever you have that embed code, and I'm going to show you two things. First thing you need to do, I showed you the code, but the way they've changed this, and it changed from the summer to now. Under insert, embed, you now have to use the embed function. That is where you will hit the code and watch what happens. It now places all of that information in Canvas so that when a student comes through, they can just add without going to another interface. So Laura, your question, is this something the district pays for? Yeah. So because we as teachers have this access, this is the best way and the way that I'm going to recommend that you do it, okay? Now, so once you have it there, this will also sort of help you to know who's jumping in and adding to whatever is to do it either in an assignment or a page. Sorry for scrolling on the screen because I'm just trying to show you how to do it. Then you're going to hit save. And now, oh, yes, text entry or no entry, whatever. All right. Oh, God. I shouldn't have made it an assignment. Damn it. Whatever. This is all that troubleshooting that happens, gets on my nerves. But but now look at what happens on the page. You can actually see it straight there, right? And to always check, I go home, check the student version and make sure that it shows up. Because that's another little ticket. Check the student version. Helena in particular, because that's how you'll know what's happening. You come here and you can actually start to see. Of course, I didn't make assignments visible. Y'all get the idea. All right, so now let's actually take a few minutes to play around with how do you actually make a Padlet. So in your secondary browser that you've opened, let me stop sharing this one. Sorry, hold on 1 second. I got 5 things open. Okay. Now I just jammed myself up with that, but whatever. All right, so Padlet, here we're gonna go. We're gonna open up Padlet. So when you open up Padlet, so to Laura's point, the free one, when you open up the free version, it's a sign in with Apple, Google, Microsoft Office. Because we are an Office 365 school, when you sign up with your Microsoft Office options. Oh
Joy,
my,
I thought we were Google school. Or we're a
no,
Microsoft school.
yes. We are now a Microsoft Office school, which is part of the challenge and also one of the reasons why so many of our resources stop talking to each other. So many of us, this is worth me coming. All right, so back to this. So when you get ready to, it is really as simple as it looks. When you get ready to make a Padlet, when you get ready to make a Padlet, the functions are really simple. You would just hit make a Padlet, okay? Now, what a Padlet is, it's a whiteboard, but you, as the person creating it, are deciding what you want it to look like. Very honestly, the easiest Padlet to make is a wall where people just plop stuff. Who cares? If you are looking at specific categories of things, for example, let's say you want to talk about RNA, DNA, and other proteins. You can create a shelf and you're now checking in on specific things. Newton's first law, Newton's second law, Newton's third law. Okay. You can make shelves that's organized where they have to contribute to one specific thing. Timeline, you give kids, you got 20 kids and you're studying history from 1970 to 1990. One kid does a fact list for 1970 and so on and so forth, right? You are choosing how you want them to communicate their ideas. I'm going to choose a wall and show you how simple a wall is. Now it has pretty backgrounds that it creates. There's so you're like, ooh. Now if you're ADD and all of this becomes like, what? Colorblind? I don't know what that says, right? You can change. All of this stuff is sort of embedded in the information. You can say, bubbles are forever. Okay. And you can see made with word. Okay, that's nonsense. Description of gases. Okay. No icons, although you could choose. Now, the address, this address is all that you would share out with the students. This, when you come down, the detail, how are students posting? Do you want them to have their names or not? Okay. Do you want them to be able to comment? Here's the thing, again, for those of us who have children who like to use naughty words, you can put a filter for profanity. I'll tell you the filter for profanity is going to get rid of like a lot of words. So you may look at responses and be like, what? Like if a kid says shoot or something like that, it might replace shoot. Okay. So use that sparingly, but I get it if you feel like you must. Okay. So now at the top, sorry for doing it, you haven't done anything more yet. So you have to click next. And when you hit next, you go to start posting. Starting the posting process allows you to do all of this. See this? The default is visitors can write. That's your default, which means that's the good thing. Anybody can add to it. Okay. And so here, always make sure that, well, this is my recommendation. In the actual Padlet itself, embed whatever you want your question to be. And then you can play from that point forward. Okay. You can play from that point forward. So I'm going to share this link, ask you all to join for like 3 minutes because I want everybody to have the opportunity to join this Padlet. All right, jump into this Padlet and just tell me whatever you can about gases. I don't care what you put.